What if, like the original Zelda timeline, which was originally just a bunch of retellings of the same story, what if Elden Ring and every other Soulsborne that was made by Miyazaki was actually about the same thing? Just the continued understanding of Miyazaki of American fantasy. Why wouldn't it be true if Patches is here times? Six times. And why is there always a wolf that's sometimes missing an arm and wielding a sword? For some reason, that's just too on the nose, too, right? All I'm saying is, since most of these stories come out to be about the same thing, hereditary pass down of knowledge, or power, or even the lack of passing, right? The greedy growth that the parents have made from themselves for themselves. In the beginning, it was Dark Souls and Orlando. Well, the gods just dying out and cheating their subjects and their pygmy man. In Sekiro, you can kiln your own flame by becoming the Shura. Why would there be the Moonlight Greatsword in Bloodborne and Dark Souls 2 and 3 and even in Elden Ring? It doesn't matter if this story is the same or if it's a different one told in a different way by like a different shaman from a different community about a different folk tale rather than what Miyazaki thought. I think it gives it a little bit more depth, thinking that, well, the games that we've all enjoyed, played, and even tried to see how they replicate have completely been replications of themselves. But in the end, I think this has a lot of wiggle room. I think at the end of Dark Souls 1, our player killing themselves is what leads to Dark Souls 2 looking so different. It's supposed to be this world that our player has changed. And it goes on from that as a would-be queen stricken down, or even in Dark Souls 3, where it's the amalgamation of every single character we've ever played rolled into one little neat package. It's, once we beat them, what will we become next? So, the only answer was Sekiro, Bloodborne, Elden Ring, everything else that Miyazaki's made. And honestly, once you start to look at it, and even with the same gameplay styles, parents don't want to give to their children, or even the pygmy versions of those children, or even in some cases, lock them in a fucking basement. Create son. Good luck. The Elden Tree lends itself more to a parasite, and that's a theme that we can see a lot of in FromSoft games, because so many things get sucked up, taken away, like as if there's succubi walking around on the streets, just suck it in Orlando dry. You know what I mean? All we do is walk along rooftops, and we see no one except for protectors, a false queen, and a false son. I mean, Sekiro was pretty important to me. Red eyes are something that is contained throughout all of the games. Anyone who's become animalistic or primal in nature starts to get these red eyes, and it's one of those things that I think stays across most all FromSoft games. It would explain the other reasons why FromSoft actually reuses some of their names, because they're trying to give you a hint that in this world, though it's a little different, this is the exact same. And, well, I'm not saying that they're in the same universe. I'm just saying it's that person, but different. As if it was not that person ever to exist, right? It just changes along with FromSoft and Miyazaki himself. But going on from there, we're also looking at the worlds that Miyazaki creates and changes with themselves. So, with his understanding of American lore getting greater and more, he can take more and more things from it, including huge things that are familiar but almost strange in a way. I mean, the Nameless King is something we see in a couple of other FromSoft games where it's this person we aren't supposed to talk about or speak of. Hell, in Dark Souls 2, it was another thing. I could make some sort of a vague argument like, there's always like an asylum demon that's trapping people in somewhere. Yeah, that's called a guard. But if we're always talking about it, every Souls game is the same, where when you get out of the first room, you're usually confronted by the first boss, something that's either unkillable or something that's just a hard fight, which is exactly what we see at the start of Dark Souls 3 with Eudex Gundyr. He is quite literally stricken with a huge black parasite that persists throughout the game, a plague that is killing the land. So, in an act that we tarnished do, we burn both. That even continues into Sekiro, where the parasite that's actually draining everything is from the rejuvenated child. The process to get to them was a lot of parasites through the worms that are actually doing a lot of work to revive all those enemies you kill in the game. It's the same type of parasite. One that's, well, while giving, is also taking in extreme ways. But if you want to fight me in the comments, go for it. I don't care. See how they replicate, have completely been replications of themselves. They've truly just been these beautiful little stories that make us happy and make our thumbs hurt. When you're looking at Dark Souls 2 and 3, it is better to think of them as one, but Bloodborne, Sekiro, even Elden Ring, I feel like they're all their own finite little contained stories that are exactly like Miyazaki's other works, and Dark Souls, and even Demon Souls. Well, I mean, I wouldn't be saying so if this bald motherfucker wasn't still here and his big You know how I feel about patches. But what really makes a Dark Souls game or a Soulsborne game what it is? And I think at the heart, it's truly the person telling that story. There's a million Soulsborne games, but there's only a few created by Miyazaki himself. And in that, I think it's pretty beautiful that he continues to keep making. And even if he doesn't and ends with Elden Ring, I truly think it was a fantastic story to end on. If I come to resistance on this, I'm just going to assume that the Dark Souls community needs to touch a little bit of grass. Go outside a little. Ruffle the ground a little bit, roll around a little bit, and then we can talk again. And if you want to fight me in the comments, go for it. I could be wrong. Not this time, but I could be wrong. So if you want to fight me on any of my other things that I have going on where you think I might be crazy, sure, go for it. But good luck. I'm joking. But in this, I hope you can at least see that the repetition is throughout more than just a few of the games, and even then, I don't think it's in a bad way. I think all the reimaginings of a lot of stuff, except for patches and the dogs with swords, then, yeah, killing it.